Here's a strange truth about gaming nobody likes to admit out loud. The moment a game hands you freedom, most players don't explore. They cross a line. They break something, steal something, punch the nearest NPC, or drive a car into a crowd just to see what happens. And the unsettling part isn't the chaos itself. It's why your brain enjoys it. What if I told you the urge to act like a criminal in a game isn't random? And it isn't, haha, just fun. It's a glitch in your hardware. The same glitch that makes toddlers push forbidden red buttons. And adrenaline junkies leap off cliffs. Your brain fires more reward chemicals when you do exactly what society told you not to. Games don't create that impulse, they weaponize it. GTA, Skyrim, Cyberpunk, Saints Row, Red Dead, Watch Dogs. These worlds know exactly how to press that button. Think about the first time you played GTA and realized nothing could really stop you. No police department, no moral judgment, no actual consequences. Your brain wasn't thinking, I want to be a villain. It was thinking, I finally get to hit every forbidden impulse I've never acted on. And that's where the dark psychology begins. Because scientists have discovered that when humans enter an environment with no real consequences, the brain shifts into what psychologists call a risk pursuit mode. It's a survival impulse, power impulse, and also a curiosity impulse. And yes, also a rule-breaking impulse. But here's the twist that almost nobody talks about, and the thing that keeps players glued to these worlds for hours. It's not the crime that hooks you, it's the emotional experiment. You aren't asking, can I steal this? You're asking a darker question. If I steal this, who do I become? Games secretly give people a harmless laboratory where they can test the boundaries of their personality without destroying their real lives. And the moment the player discovers something unexpected about themselves, whether it's bravery, cruelty, boldness, mischief, or total chaos, the world becomes addictive. Not because of the missions, but because of the psychological mirror it holds up. But that mirror gets darker. NPCs don't judge you. There are no permanent consequences. Morality becomes a slider, not a law. Once the brain adapts to that kind of world, the rush of rebellion, even rebellion without purpose, becomes stronger than the reward of doing the right thing. And devices understand that better than anyone. Rockstar built entire systems designed to reward the exact impulses society punishes. For example, in GTA 5, every time you commit a crime, chaos escalates in a way that makes the world feel more alive. You'd see more helicopters, more sirens, more tactical teams. Your brain interprets this as increasing stimulation, not increasing danger. The very thing that should make you stop keeps you playing. Heists, which would be a life-ruining felony in real life, are turned into some of the most rewarding missions in the franchise. Massive cash payouts, triumphant music cues, slow-motion cinematics. Every layer of the design tells your brain, breaking the law is the path to progress. Even the simple act of punching a random NPC gives instant feedback. A reaction animation, screaming pedestrians, fleeing crowds. Every action creates a dramatic effect. Nothing is ignored. The game rewards mischief with attention. Bethesda built worlds where your curiosity is more important than your conscience. In Skyrim, the entire world is built around the idea that if you can think of an action, the game will let you attempt it. Stealing, pickpocketing, trespassing, breaking into houses. Bethesda doesn't say, this is wrong. Bethesda says, what happens if you try? Even their morality systems in games like Fallout don't punish you, they study you. The game tracks your decisions, NPCs react, and entire storylines shift based on your behavior. This kind of reactivity makes your brain treat every bad action as a scientific experiment. You're not doing something evil, you're testing outcomes. And when you do commit crimes, Bethesda makes the consequences weirdly negotiable. Guards don't kill you, you don't lose everything. You get a fine, or you go to jail and level up your skills through secret mechanics. Criminality becomes a strategy, not a moral failure. Bethesda removes guilt. And once guilt disappears, curiosity takes over. But the studio that pushes this psychology the deepest is CD Projekt Red. Their games don't reward chaos with stimulation like Rockstar. They don't reward crime with curiosity like Bethesda. Instead, they blur morality so much that players stop viewing their actions as good or bad at all. In Cyberpunk 2077, most illegal actions are framed as survival, not criminality. Gigs, merc work, hacking, stealing corporate data, things that would be federal crimes in real life, are just jobs in Night City. Your brain stops labeling them as wrong because the world normalizes them. Even violence is contextualized. Every gang, every corpo, every fixer has moral shades of gray. There is no clean choice or a pure path. CD Projekt removes the comfort of being a hero, so any action you take feels justified. And most importantly, the economy of Night City is intentionally brutal. Money is scarce. Upgrades are expensive. Every powerful item is locked behind dangerous, morally questionable missions. This creates a psychological trick where you don't feel like you're committing crimes, but feel like you're doing what you must to survive. When survival becomes the framing, morality dissolves. CD Projekt doesn't encourage you to be a criminal. They build a world where criminality feels normal. These aren't by accident, but a meticulously crafted design psychology. Games let you feel what criminals feel without becoming one. And once your brain learns how powerful that feels, it doesn't forget. Now, we are going to dig into the part most people never think about, how games gradually teach you to prefer criminal behavior even when they don't force you to choose it. So your brain is wired to chase certain psychological rewards that happen to line up perfectly with breaking the rules. And the very first reward is something scientists call the forbidden effect. It works like this. The moment you're told you shouldn't do something, your brain becomes more curious about it. This is a survival instinct, ironically. Humans are wired to investigate danger because our ancestors needed to understand threats, not avoid them blindly. Games exploit this effect flawlessly. Think about the first time you noticed a red barrel in a shooter. Even before you knew its purpose, your instincts whispered, "Shoot it." Or the first time Skyrim let you hover your cursor over an item with the word "steal" glowing in red. You could have walked away, but you didn't, because the game wasn't daring you with punishment, it was daring you with possibility. And once a game conditions your brain to see forbidden actions as potential rewards, the rules of the world reshuffle themselves. Suddenly, breaking into an NPC's house isn't immoral, it's exploration. Hijacking a car in GTA isn't disrespect, it's transportation. Hacking a corpo vault in Cyberpunk isn't a felony, it's progress. The game never tells you it's wrong. Your brain never treats it as wrong. And in that space, curiosity can evolve into a more powerful psychological force: domination. Because the moment a game lets you get away with something you know you couldn't get away with in real life, a tiny part of your brain lights up. The part that likes feeling superior, in control, untouchable. This is the same mechanism that makes power fantasies addictive, but games take it a step further by letting you perform actions that society strictly forbids. In GTA, you're not just running from police, you're outsmarting them. In Skyrim, you're not just stealing, you're stealing under the nose of a guard who said, "Stop right there." In Cyberpunk, you're not just hacking a system, you're breaching a megacorp's billion-credit firewall like it's a toy. And every time you succeed, the game gives you a microscopic dopamine hit, just enough to reinforce the behavior without making you feel guilty. But the strangest part? Players rarely start with the most extreme actions. Psychologists call this transgressive escalation, and it's one of the most fascinating things seen in gaming behavior. Players begin with something tiny, pushing an NPC, stealing a cheese wheel, breaking into a locked shed. The action feels harmless, the consequences feel light, and the brain files it away as safe mischief. Rockstar, Bethesda, and CD Projekt all leverage this escalation effortlessly. Rockstar doesn't ease players into criminality with harmless mischief. They throw you straight into the deep end. The very first mission in GTA 5 isn't about exploring a safe open world. It's a bank heist. Masks on, guns loaded, hostages screaming, alarms blaring. Your introduction to the universe is a full-blown felony, scripted with cinematic precision, forcing your brain to immediately normalize high-intensity criminal behavior. And once you enter free roam, the escalation continues, not gradually, but structurally. The first crime players typically do isn't punching a pedestrian, it's snatching a parked car, because the game teaches you from minute one that vehicles are tools, not property. You don't feel like you're stealing, you feel like you're grabbing a ride. Shortly after, the game rewards you for breaking traffic laws, speeding through red lights, smashing fences, tearing across sidewalks, and outrunning police. Every illegal action is paired with speed, sound cues, motion blur, and adrenaline, turning what should be wrong into a sensory reward. Once the game knows you understand that crime equals progress, it introduces more structured illegal systems: store robberies, armored truck hits, assassination missions, drug runs, arms deals, multi-stage heists, and high-speed police chases. Rockstar builds entire gameplay loops around activities that would be life-ruining felonies in reality, but become progression milestones in the story. Bethesda introduces small temptations early, like stealing coins or lockpicking a novice chest, and then rewards you with the discovery of new areas, hidden lore, and unique loot. You escalate because curiosity is now tied to rule-breaking. CD Projekt places you in a world where your first crimes are framed as favors or survival tasks. Once your brain accepts crime as normal, escalation feels natural. Here's the twist. Players think they're choosing these actions, but the game is actually shaping their choices by controlling the ratio of effort to reward. And to understand how deep this goes, look at one of the most famous psychological tricks used in gaming: risk-reward asymmetry. This is when a game makes the reward of a rule break significantly more valuable than the risk of punishment, and every major studio uses this to shape player behavior. In GTA, robbing a gas station gives you instant cash but only minor police response, a high reward for low risk. Your brain quickly categorizes it as a smart action, not a criminal one. In Skyrim, pickpocketing has a huge payoff if you succeed and almost no lasting penalty if you're caught. You lose gold or go to jail briefly. Your brain learns, the downside is temporary, but the thrill is permanent. In Cyberpunk, illegal gigs pay more eddies than honest work, and the punishment for failing is usually just reloading. The risk is fictional, the reward is real. Over time, your brain develops a preference for behaviors that would terrify you in real life, because the game repeatedly trains you to associate crime with competence, advantage, intelligence, and survival. You don't become a criminal in games because you want to. You become one because the systems make criminal choices feel like the most logical, efficient, emotionally satisfying options. And once you understand that psychological pattern, the next question becomes much darker. What happens when a game not only rewards rule-breaking, but makes it feel morally justified? Because that's when players stop acting like criminals and start acting like vigilantes, renegades, and gods. This brings us to the Proteus effect, when your digital avatar changes how you think, feel, and act. And in gaming, that effect is stronger than almost anywhere else. In GTA, you're not you. You're a character already living outside the law, inside a world built on excess, chaos, and bold decisions. So your brain stops asking, what would I do? It asks, what would this version of me do? And that version doesn't hesitate. The world shapes your new identity faster than you realize. Here's the twist. Games don't convince you to act like a criminal. They convince you to act like someone who would. And once your identity shifts, your behavior follows automatically. Not because you're choosing crime, but because the person you're role-playing would choose differently from you in real life. This is why even the most peaceful, polite, rule-following people become chaotic in open-world games. Not because they're hiding a criminal soul, but because games temporarily free them from the weight of their real identity. No family expectations, no social image, no pressure to be good. It's the first environment many people ever experience where nothing they do can stain who they are. So they try everything. Not for malice, for discovery. And that is the real dark psychology behind criminal behavior in games. Not the crime itself, but the chance to explore a version of yourself that reality would never allow. Games reveal something uncomfortable but honest. When people are freed from identity, they don't become the worst version of themselves. They become the version that finally feels untouchable. And whether that version is chaotic, curious, ruthless, experimental, power-driven, reckless, or rebellious, it's all still you, just with the world's weight removed. That's why players act like criminals, because games let people slip into a self that real life keeps locked away. And that version of you, the unfiltered,